pleasant good morning to everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Yours truly, Carlos Brown. Here's the guest menu for today's show. Jim Kleinpeter returns back-to-back weeks talking Southern University football and athletics. Also, Ossie of the Grambling State Radio Network, he joins us. Here's what's trending. Here's what's trending on the Carlos Brown Show. Southern University fall camp update. We'll have a little bit of information from last week's scrimmage and tonight, about 7-ish, the final or a big scrimmage that will determine some things for Southern University football team. That'll be tonight. Also, Southern University releases their 2024-2025 men's basketball schedule. And, boy, the non-conference schedule is tough. And, of course, we'll look at that and the conference schedule. That's what's trending on today's Carlos Brown Show. Now for the panel as they appear one by one. Willa Brown, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone.
Coach Pettaway, good morning.
Hello. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. And Charles Edmond of the Alcorn State Radio Network. And I think his eyes have been busy already this morning. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning. A busy morning here. I'm at Jack Spinks Marino Catherine Stadium. Your second home, Carlos. I got a space for you, Carlos. I got a space for you. Security's already on alert for you. When you come this way, they'll be ready for you. Final scrimmage, we just finished that up. So this was the big scrimmage. We got another one on Thursday, 7 days before our UAB game. But this is the big one. The roster will be shaped after today's scrimmage.
Yeah, I kind of knew that room. It looked familiar. And, boy, have some unpleasant memories there out of the times that I've been there. But, hey, Lorman, Mississippi, Alcorn State, I love the hospitality and the campus. Well, some things to talk about on script and also off script. A lot going on. But for Southern University, they're going to have a big scrimmage tonight. And most of the questions that you get are the quarterback battle. Who's going to take the lead? Apparently, it'll go. This scrimmage will go a long way in determining that. Also, from last week, got a bit of information because it's kind of off limits to most people. I was most intrigued by the offensive line, and I got this from a good source. Good source. That's that word, Charles. Offensive line has improved. No holding penalties, no false starts. And Coach Graves talked about it. By the way, he has graciously said he will be on next Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll talk to him. But Wheeler, that O-line is starting to gel.
It's going to make a break. It's going to make a break.
Right. And so there was improvement there. Also, my source told me quarterbacks did not throw an interception. They didn't turn the ball over. All four did reasonably well. So that's a good thing. Also, they had a couple of fumbles, but that's something that, you can correct. Also, defensively, they got after each other. So that was a scrimmage, some of the highlights from last week. But tonight will be a real dress rehearsal. It's the big one. And so next week, we'll be able to hopefully tell you some things that took place in that scrimmage, which is tonight. And Charles, I'm trying to figure out a way how I can get into that scrimmage. But that might be tough. That might be tough, even for me. Well, I can get in there. Yeah, well, I mean, this time of the year, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler, they usually block things off. And
Yeah, but
I understand why they do it.
Carlos, you the man sitting next to the man, baby.
Yep,
Ain't
yep.
no reason why you can't get in there. You the man.
That's why I'm shocked, guys. I am shocked he said that.
Well, Coach Pettaway, I have to follow the rules, and it's the process. And from my understanding, now if I'm wrong, somebody will tell me. It'll be off limits to the media, So
Okay.
we'll see.
We're looking at the same thing. I think today is fan day here in Huntsville, and they'll be scrimmaging tonight at 6. And I think we're in the same boat. I'm not sure who our QB is going to be, but I've been told from a reliable source that Cornelius Brown, who's 6'5" and 230, is a young. I'm sorry, Cornelius Brown, who's 6'5" and 210, is the leading candidate, and that surprised me because we had Xavier Langford coming back from last year, who was the starting quarterback. So it'll be interesting to see in the next couple of weeks who's going to lead the Bulldogs on the center.
I'm not laughing at you, Coach Pettaway. I'm looking at some of the comments. Let me say this. I can get in where others can't.
Yeah.
But I'm being respectful. But I still find out information. Trust me.
You can get it, Carlos.
Most definitely.
You can get it.
But Coach Pettaway, Alabama and him, I think that's the quarterback I saw in the highlights. Big, tall kid, strong and be able to, it's all about competition. And, there's information that people try to get out. Then there's, and I jokingly say, the street committee. I was the president for over 12 years of the street committee. But, about news coming out, who's going to be the starting quarterback. And I don't think it's any different anywhere. You look at the competition, and at the end of the day, the coaches make the decision what they believe is best. And then also I look at the number twos. Who's going to be the number 2 O-line, D-line, in the secondary, because sometimes things happen. The next man steps up. So I think those second units, those battles are as important as the battle for the first unit.
Yeah, and Carlos, I was able to get up there Wednesday. Wednesday morning was their last day practicing in the morning, and I got there right in time for a goal line. And I'll tell you what, if they can get down to the goal line, I like what I'm seeing. They can punch it in. They just got to get there. I like that. I saw both quarterbacks put their teams in the end zone. So,
wait a minute! Breaking news! Hey, Pat Riley said, Carlos, if you need any help, let him know. But guess what? And you always do things the right way, and the process. So I know you saw the comments. I don't know if you saw it, came across, scrolled across.
Yeah, about the drone.
The head. Oh no, Pettaway, the drone.
Drones will be flying over Mumford Stadium. Yeah.
Oh boy! Wow.
I saw Coach Graves. Coach Graves said he was going to take care of you, Carlos. Willa, you saw that?
I
saw that.
Yeah.
Well, look, hey, Carlos, I got a story to share with you. This goes back to the Jay Hobson days. Mm-hmm. Now, Jay Hobson was a stickler when it came to people watching practice and all of that. Mm-hmm. So over here in the practice field, there's a lake and there's a whole bunch of land. So one day at practice, this was, I think, maybe been the week of the Southern game. He was in his coaching element. He didn't want any outside, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it was a guy that just happened to be walking off in the distance. Now, unless you paid attention, you wouldn't have saw him, but he saw him. And he's wondering, like, who's that guy? This guy was probably 300 yards away. No way he was supposed to. Wow. Jay Hobson summoned somebody to go out there and check to see who that guy was. And when I tell you, I'm like, Coach, he has nothing to do with what's going on right here. I mean, he may have been surveying land or whatever. It didn't matter to Jay Hobson. So, Coach Pettaway, I'm sure Coach Pettaway knows folks walking in the arena. You just never know. You just never know what goes on with these type of things. So, I understand the drones, and I understand, the whole thing of closing practice off. And I'm sure Coach Graves is watching to see who's in that stadium, who's peeping through the windows. You just, I get it. I get it as a coach. Coaches have superstitions, and coaches can be paranoid.
Well, and I don't think you want to get on Coach Gray's bad side. I'll have to ask him next week. Has he calmed down a little bit? I remember in the early years, man, he would have us shaking in the stands. You could really hear him, and and then I'm in the press box. But seriously, I understand. I talked to another guest next week. Oh boy, I don't know if I want to break it right now, but he's a guy that said when this time of year, you got to kind of close the ranks even more because you're literally 2 weeks away from the opening game. For some, like Alcorn, it's less than 2 weeks.
12 days.
And so, I can really understand that. So, I appreciate it. And, our job is to try to get as much information as we can. And their job is to coach those young men and have them ready. And so, you got to be respectful. But, hey, I bank on my 20 plus years. And especially Scrimmage tonight, anti-drone procedures are in effect. Yeah. Look, they're gonna be a flyover. Yeah.
Shooting them down,
Look,
Carlos.
he got some stud missiles waiting on him. He got some studs waiting on him.
Hey, if I come on next week with shades on, something happened to my eyes. I'm trying to get close, but it's interesting that we can laugh and talk about it, and it just lets you know that football season is here.
Well, Carlos, drones are illegal. You got to have certification to be able to fly a drone. And another story, this happened last football season. There was a drone that flew over this stadium. And it just so happens that the Mississippi director of the FAA was here at the stadium. He saw the drone. He said, "What is that drone doing up there?" And of course, we didn't know. The people in operation didn't know. He said, "If that drone doesn't get down, like, I don't care who flew it, I don't care who's over it. If that drone does not get down on the ground like now, I have the authority to shut this game down." It may have been homecoming, I believe. So, flying a drone just isn't something that you can just do. You got to have some certifications, and you got to have all that in place. So anybody flying a drone, unless they're authorized, it ain't a good thing. And if you're caught, it's big time penalties.
Well, the band folk are good for that now. The band folk are good at flying drones and trying to get all the angles for their filming their performances, that sort of thing. So it is what it is, I suppose.
I tell you what, the late great Dr. Griggs, I don't believe he needed to use a drone. His eyes were sharp. Oh man, I'm telling you, he could see everything. Who's this? SU's real night test will come when they battle the Tigers of JSU at the vet. I'm still trying to see if I can. Boy, get me fired up. It's one game at a time, but I would love to run the team out there. Boy, that is interesting, impactful, energized. I'm trying to think of another word to use. Rivalry. We're gonna take a quick time out. When we come back, our producer extraordinaire Melody has been able to pull up some pictures from Southern University's men basketball team. And boy, they were very successful going to the Bahamas. Got some pictures of that. There's a Sudanese connection. You saw one last year that played, but there's another guy who sat out. But I think he's going to be impactful as well. It was a very successful team bonding trip, and also getting them some wins in there. And then we'll also look at Southern University's 2024-25 men's basketball schedule. Charles, you would appreciate it. They're on the road. They're on the road a lot. Some winnable games, but we've talked about it, Coach Pettaway. Those are the type of schedules now that the basketball coaches have to endure to help people like Willa Brown, the director of athletics. Willa, that's in love. That's in love. That's in love. But we understand that. But it's a very competitive schedule as well. So we'll take a timeout. We'll come back and look at that. Also, Jim Kleinpeter, he'll join us in about 20 minutes. And then also Ossie Clark will join us in our number one as well. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Atlanta, Georgia. The HBCU football capital hosts the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge on August 24th. Florida A&M Rattlers, Norfolk State Spartans. SWAC versus MEAC. The rivalry is real. Come out to Center Park Stadium to see the returning HBCU national champions and two of the best HBCU bands in the land, the Marching 100 and the Spartan Legion. The day starts with a kickoff fan experience tailgate and concludes with a primetime matchup on ABC. For more information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
Hey, grab me one too.
Charmin Ultra Soft has so much cushiony softness, it's hard for your family to remember they can use less.
Sweet pillows of softness.
This is soft.
Holy Charmin. Oh, excuse me. Roll it back, everybody. Sorry.
Charmin Ultra Soft is so cushiony soft, you'll want more, but it's so absorbent, you can use less, so it's always worth it.
Now, what did we learn about using less?
You gotta roll it back, everybody.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
you gotta love it.
Yeah.
Just the scenery, the music, the band. Oh boy, can't wait. Football season almost here. Welcome back, everybody, to the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Please hit the thumbs up button, like, share, and hit the notification button so it'll give you a notification every time we come on Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Central Standard Time. And if you're in Eastern Standard Time like Wheeler, 12 noon. Well, we'll get back to some camp football news. But for Southern University basketball, the 2024-2025 men's basketball schedule was released. And so Southern University on November the 4th, Coach Pettaway and Wheeler, they're at South Dakota. Boy, that's going up there in the first game. And then November 7th at the University of Iowa. November 13th at Texas A&M Commerce. And then November the 17th, their home opener, Ecclesia College. Then November 20th, they're back on the road at Texas A&M. November the 25th, Champion Christian College. Interesting. November 30th at Louisiana Tech. And then December the 7th, they're at the University of Tulsa. Then they have another home game, Lindsey Wilson College. Never heard of them. I'll just be honest. No, I'm not trying to be funny. I haven't. You have?
No, they're out of Kentucky. I got my first collegiate coaching win against them. I was in the tournament.
Interesting.
Yep.
Then December 17th at the University of Mississippi. I heard that was coming. December the 20th at Loyola Marymount University. December 22nd at USC. December 30th at the University of Nebraska. That is
good schedule. Good schedule, Carlos.
Yeah.
Good schedule.
You would say that, Wheeler.
Good schedule. Good schedule.
Well,
healthy mix.
It is.
Healthy mix of money and winnable games.
Yes.
And you notice, Wheeler, you said money first. then winnable games. How about winnable games? Then money. Oh,
got it.
Oh. Will, did anybody ever tell you were director of athletics? Oh. And in the conference, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, boy. At Texas Southern, at Prairie View. Always start off with the Texas swing, huh? Always. Let's see. That's a money-making schedule with maybe an upset or two. Yeah. South Dakota should be a winnable game, the first game. You think so, guys?
Yeah.
Not in that snow. Nope.
What, Carlos?
Wait a minute, snowing in November there? Unbelievable.
Yeah, definitely. Well, guys, I got our schedule now. Southern's is pretty tough with some games in there. Utah State, we're playing at Xavier, Louisiana. Tulane, TCU, Washington, USC, Riverside, South Alabama. Of course, Landon Bussey's from Baltimore, going back to Maryland. Wichita State, Oklahoma, Rice, UAB.
Wait a minute.
That ain't bad.
No, but I heard something. They're going at Xavier?
Yes. Landon Bussey went to school.
Okay, that's
Xavier,
a connection.
Louisiana.
Okay.
So that's going to be a road trip. You're going to play Xavier and then stay there and play Tulane. So I get that.
Okay.
I think that's a good thing. I know we kind of talk down on something like that now, but I think Landon Bussey going back to his roots, I think it's a good thing.
Yep.
Yeah, well, I was wondering that after you explain it makes the connection there, Xavier, which is a beautiful arena. And I wouldn't even say nothing else, but it's beautiful and a tough. They've had success in basketball program. So I don't think it's a game that Alcorn will lose. However, got to go there and take care of business. They'll be fired up. they'll be fired up. But Coach Pettaway,
Yes.
Now maybe who can I talk to again? I know I'm gonna come across as a whiner, not me, but I would like to mix it up every year. You got to start off with Texas Southern Prairie View. How can we mix this thing up? Who do I talk to? Do I go to the athletic committee? Do I talk to Dr. McClellan, who will probably say, Carlos, get away? Who do I talk to?
Well, it's got to be the competition committee. They're the ones that put the schedules together, and they would have to rotate you all off of that. But now, I can see you going 1-1 on that road trip. Real easy. And with a few breaks, you can come out 2-0. But see, I know you want them both.
That's right. And then you come home and you get 3 in a row. FAMU, Bethune-Cookman, and then Grambling State. And people have already told me, you got to get a win against Grambling State. They kind of had Southern's number, the past couple of seasons. Southern with double-digit leads in both of those games last year, and couldn't finish.
But Carlo, here's the thing that you can look forward to, because you all were able to take a trip and go and play in the summer. That's going to help your continuity on that basketball team. These kids that means that they'd had an opportunity to be together where it's just them. Trust me, that means a lot. And more and more of our schools are doing that because, before we came on the air, I told you Alabama A&M their men's basketball team just got back from the Dominican Republic. So you get that extra practice time, you get games in the summer. So all of this, man, helps your team to hit the ground running in the fall when classes start. So now you're a leg up on the competition when you're able to pull that off. And I just think it's great, and I just like the idea that more and more of our SWAC teams are doing the foreign tours because you need that. That's how the big boys get ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Every year that they're eligible to go, they take a trip because you're developing that team chemistry. Those kids are getting used to the coaching staff, in game type situations where even though it's overseas, you want to win the games, but it helps you when you get back on campus. Now it's time for the regular season to start.
Valid points. Cedric says, we'll go in the chat room. Mr. Brown and panel, the SWAC plays a very great brand of sports throughout all of our teams. Remember, the SWAC has Division I athletes as well. Maybe he's saying that because I talked about Xavier. Yeah, but hey, Xavier, they got a good basketball program. And, Alcorn's going there. They're going to have to bring their A game.
But you gotta be mindful of them NAIA schools.
Right.
There ain't nothing to be seasoned at now. Don't think you're just gonna walk in there and they're gonna roll over.
Right.
Because they're full of D1 athletes too.
Absolutely.
That could not or did not for whatever reason, make it NCAA wise. But don't sell them short now. That's for sure.
No,
right. Okay, here's the
Alcorn need to go in there and take care of business.
Right, because Carlos, when you play NAIA number 1, they start practice sooner than you. I mean, their practice can start sooner than yours, and then most of the time they have played several games before the Division I teams ever get an opportunity to play. And then when it comes to talent, a lot of those NAIA schools have kids on their teams that we recruited, but for some reason we couldn't get them in or it wasn't the right fit. So there's talent there because I know here in Alabama, these NAIA teams will clean your clock now. They will clean your clock because they got talent and they got some good coaches.
Case in point, Tougaloo College. Tougaloo College is one of those, and Wheeler Brown Knows School right down the street from where you.
Yes,
we don't even play Tougaloo College. I asked Landon Bussey about it a couple of years ago. I mean, just trying to find some schools locally you could play without having to go on the road. Tougaloo You know, it's a pretty good rivalry. Tougaloo and Jackson, Tougaloo and Alcorn, Tougaloo and Valley. I said, Coach, what about Tougaloo? I mean, you know, as he's putting his schedule together, he said, no sirree. And we're talking about the coaches are pretty good talent. And so, yeah, you know, you got to be careful. And it's a good competition, but when you lose those kind of games, people gonna rub it in your face when you do that. We played Morris Brown when Davey Whitney was coaching, one of the best teams we've had since I've been here. We went to Morris Brown, and we lost at the buzzer. And you talk about a crowd erupting like they won the national championship. Man, they stormed the court like it was something serious. That was a home and home, so they came back to us, and we blew them out. But just the mere fact that something like that could happen. And I think that's probably why Landon Bussey's doing it. He wants to put his team through the test. I mean, he's not afraid to do that. Not afraid to do that at all. So I think there's a method to that madness.
So the panel agrees and likes the non-conference schedule and schedule for Southern University and Coach Johnson. I think, Wheeler, again, for those people just tuning in, why do you like the schedule?
I call it a healthy mix. That's a healthy mix. You know, you got your guarantees in there that you got to have. You know, you pretty much forced to go that particular route. But you also got some winnables there. And even some of your guarantees are better.
We lost your audio, Wheeler.
You know, you never know. So, you know, I think it's a good healthy mix of both. And, you know, you're accomplishing all the goals that you need to set for yourself.
Coach Pettaway, from a coaching standpoint.
Well, I like it. You know, anytime you can play regional games, anytime you can play schools that there are a lot of teams on that schedule I've played before. You know, so I'm familiar with them, and those are good road trips. Now, I don't go to the Dakotas now. Now, if you look at my schedules from the past, if it was a cold climate, the only place I ever went was Nebraska, and we always got in and got out of there before the big snows hit. So I was always conscious of where we went, where we took our players. And one of the big things as a coach, I try to take every recruit back to their home state. Let them play in their home state, because sometimes you're not going to be able to let them play in their home city because they may not have a school there, but at least you get the kid back in their home state. So playing different teams, different parts of the country, that helps your brand. That helps your brand. So we can do it. What you got, y'all?
You talk about the Dakotas. We did that trip before. Idaho and Montana.
No way.
It was cold, Carlos. In December, we took vans.
Beautiful country.
Beautiful country.
Yeah, you can have that.
Beautiful if you like snow, but I didn't like snow, and I was designated a driver. I was a designated driver in the snow. You're talking about 2 feet of snow, man. Get out of here with that. I hope we never do that thing again, ever.
Yeah.
And you know, November the 4th here in Baton Rouge, it could be 85 degrees.
There you go.
You know, I guess I learned something. Hey, November, it's snow in the South Dakotas. If we can quickly, I see our guests, Jim Kleinpeter and Ossie, are waiting. Did we show the pictures of the basketball? Okay. Okay. Well, since we've shown them it, they were so wonderful. I was looking for them again, I guess. With that being said, then we'll take a timeout. Ossie Clark, Jim Kleinpeter, they'll both join the conversation, and we'll get Jim Kleinpeter start on last Saturday's scrimmage, and then kind of his perspective of thoughts of the big scrimmage tonight. I don't want to say final, but a huge scrimmage tonight. And then, of course, school starts for Southern University August the 19th. The football team will then shift to the afternoon practice. And I'm going to tell you, God is a great God, the creator, but it has been brutal. That move tonight, I think, will prove to be a good move on Coach Graves and staff's part. Now they'll get a test of the afternoon heat and humidity. By the way, Wheeler, heat index today, triple digits. Feel like 112. Oh, we're used to it now. Boy, it's global warming and climate change. I, for one, believe in it.
It's for real, no doubt. For real.
Yep.
On that note, we'll take a quick time out. When we come back, it'll be more of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Hey, grab me one too.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
This is the Dean of the College of HBCU Sports, Kenyatta Cavill of Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Come mix it up in the lab where the course lecture is in session every Tuesday from 6 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time on Facebook Live, YouTube Spreaker, or the BCSN app, as we discuss all things about the HBCU sports culture, including exploring the week that was in the sporting HBCU diaspora, as well as the upcoming week of HBCU sports. With me, the Dean, the College of HBCU Sports, on Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop. Course lecture dismissed.
Choice Hotels is a family of brands that helps you get the most for your money so you can be any traveler you want to be. You could be a free hot breakfast hero in a comfort hotel. Yes! That's how you waffle! Mr. This script got a plot twist at a Radisson hotel. A business big leaguer. Go for key. Even the ultimate pool float inflator. With 22 brands and the best value for your money, Choice Hotels has a stay for any you. Book direct at choicehotels.com, where travels come true. Gotta get the corners.
You're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics. There's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Coles Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Coach Vann Pettaway, Charles Edmond, Willa Brown. Now we're going to add a couple more people. One being Jim Kleinpeter. He covers Southern University athletics for the Advocate, and Ossie Clark with the Grambling State Radio Network. We'll have them in any second. But Southern University football, huge scrimmage, no drones, no flyovers, none of that tonight. It'll be interesting, and I'll get a review, an update Sunday. I look forward to that. But a couple of questions will hopefully be answered. Who will take the lead? Who will be perhaps the starting quarterback? Who will be number two? Can the offensive line continue to improve as they did in the last scrimmage? And then also defensively, you got new people in the secondary positions. They're playing well, and also the linebacker and defensive line. So the pieces are set defensively for Southern University. Offensively is where all eyes will be. who wins the quarterback position, new offensive coordinator, and Coach Graves has said that he's going to stay away from all that. That will be decided by the offensive coordinator and the offensive side. So it'll be interesting. Let's see, Melly, can we get Jim? And there's Jim.
Yep.
There's Jim Kleinpeter and Ossie. Ossie Clark, good morning to you. Jim, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
I'm here.
Well, you heard me talk a little bit about the scrimmage last week, but tonight, the big one, is what we're calling it. Your thoughts on last Saturday's scrimmage?
Well, I didn't see it, of course, but just talking to Coach Graves, it was just a little taste, I think. You think they went 60 plays. Tonight it's going to be, like he said, 80 to 100 tonight. So I think they really want to. They're going to make some decisions after tonight's scrimmage, and obviously one of them is going to be a quarterback, where they're going to start preparing somebody to be the starter for August 31st against McNeese State. So I don't think they have a lot of other decisions to make. Specifically, maybe some hairs to split on, offensive linemen. I think they know who their receivers are. I mean, who their running backs are. They know who their tight ends are. The defense is pretty set. I think maybe some hairs to split in the secondary. But they've got this is going to be a defensively strong team early in the season, and one that they hope the offense can catch up quickly.
Jim, I looked at your articles this week. Linebackers, they did a series with the defensive line and the secondary. The linebackers core, of course, Derek Williams, the leader there. But I'm interested in a newcomer, JUCO, Vincent Page. I think he plays a lot. I won't get into first team, second team, but I think he plays a lot. I think he's going to be an impactful player.
Oh, I believe so too. In fact, I was asking a few weeks ago, I was talking to Terrence Graves about the recruiting, and that's one of the names he threw it out there, unsolicited. Like, this is a guy that he knows is they're happy to have him. I think they recruited him back when he was in high school and couldn't get him here. And then he became available and I could tell by the way he talked about him that this is a guy that they're gonna plug in. He's gonna be in the rotation at the very least. Probably in the top two, in the top four linebackers. But yeah, Derek Williams is a guy that he was recruited by Dawson Odoms. He's played for 4 coaches in 5 years now, and he's a stand-up guy. He really, he really talks the talk and walks the walk. So I'm looking at him as being the leader of the defense this year, and they're in good hands.
Jim, how do they feel about? And I know in your article you talked about depth at the defensive line. Kelby Givens, All-American, preseason All-American. Who mans that other side? And will it be not per se by committee, but who will play the opposite side? And then talk about the depth that Coach Graves and the staff have talked about, and Coach Miller, happy to have the depth this year.
Yeah, Darius Harry is a guy that he played at Southeastern. He came in last year, and he did some good things for him. He was a pass rush specialist at Southeastern, but I think they put a little bit of weight on him, and he's looking like he can hold down the starting spot over there. Yeah, there are some other guys. Jelani Davis. And then Cameron Plummer is a guy who's also this is his second year in the system. These guys, this is the kind of guy, this is what you call a mature program where when you're moving guys up that have been in the system for a year or two, because you don't have to explain everything to them, because you don't want to bring in new faces and have to start from scratch with them. And I think Southern's done a good job of moving guys up. in the rotation. They're ready to step in and play and produce. And I think that's what you're going to see on this defense. They're like that at every position, even in the secondary, where they've got guys that haven't been frontliners. They've got guys that have been around 2-3 years that are ready to come in and make their bones.
Visiting with Jim Kleinpeter, he covers Southern University athletics for the Advocate. Now, Jim, my eyes were not there as well, but from a good source, they were pleased with the O-line in the scrimmage last Saturday. Not a lot of penalties, no false starts, none of that. And I think that's the question you get the most, from people trying to find out information. How will the O-line perform? Remember, after the spring season, they had 10 offensive linemen and walk-ons, but now they were able to rebuild that unit. And according to my source, they performed very well in the scrimmage last Saturday.
Yeah, this is going to be a show me position for me anyway. I mean, you've got a couple of guys that they can depend on. I think Cameron Foster is going to be good at left tackle. I think they're real happy with him. He was just he had an unlucky break, and no pun intended, but he broke his wrist right before the season started last year. He would have started. He might have been the left tackle starter. I don't know for sure, but he came back and started a couple of games at the end of the season, and they've kind of punched him in at left tackle. Josh Trask is at center, and the rest of it is you've got to find people that can play together. Like they're all on one string, connected by a string. So that's what they're looking for, and I think that will be that and quarterback will be the reason that the offense may struggle a little bit early. I just don't think with offensive linemen you can really tell in camp. You've got to get them out there in the real action against a real opponent, and I think they're gonna. I mean, they're sure tonight's scrimmage is going to make some decisions for the coaching staff on the offensive line as well as at quarterback.
I'll be looking at the young man Crump.
Carmelo Crump.
Yeah, from ULM transfer. They had another offensive lineman from Bruley in the Baton Rouge area, transferred in from Northwestern State. Courtney Lyles, who was at JUCO, but started off at Jackson State. And then Garcia, which I interviewed a couple of weeks ago from California, JUCO. So I want to see how they perform, and I think they will be able to help this team offensively, on the O-line.
Yeah, and again, like I said, this is an example of bringing guys in, and you don't know, haven't seen them under fire yet. They haven't seen, and the offensive line is just a tricky position. Because you can look good in camp and you can go out there and you're out of sync with the guys next to you. You've got to be able to stay in sync with the rest of the offensive linemen. And sometimes, you can look at a guy and say, this guy's a better blocker, but his timing is off and he's just a step slow or half a step slow. And he can't get to the he can't get to the second level to make the block that they need on the play. So all that stuff. That's why I think the offensive line, even going through the first 2 weeks of the season, may be a work in progress, even after the season starts.
Well, McNeese, the first game, Savannah State, the home opener. Between those two games, we'll see. We'll see how that O-line performs. The panel. Anybody has a question? 1, 2.
Yeah,
I'm going to agree with what Jim was saying. You're really not going to know. How your team really looks until you face outside competition. Because what you're doing, you practice against these guys every day, just like in basketball. You practice against them every day. You look to be able to hit or play against somebody that's not in the same uniform. So the jury's going to be out until they play against some outside competition.
And I think that's because times have changed so much Carlos, nobody hits anymore in practice. Yeah, and I hate to go back. When I was coming through, that sort of thing. I mean, you hit every day, every play. When you were up front, if nothing else. The quarterback wasn't getting touched, and maybe the starting running back here and there, that sort of thing. But your offensive and defensive linemen, they buttoned the chin strap up and they teed off against each other every day in different drills and things of that nature. So you were more able to find out exactly who brought what to the table beforehand. But now everybody kind of shies away from the contact during practice, that sort of thing. So, it's real hard to find out exactly what you have, until you're going up against, a different color jersey, things of that nature. So that's a big part of it, I think.
Well, when you played, it was a month of spring practice and three a day. So
that's true too.
Well, different time. Yeah, different times. Different times for everybody. Charles.
Yeah, who's Jim? Who's winning the quarterback battle? Is it Noah Bowden or is it still?
Don't tell him. Don't tell him, Jim.
Look, if I had to save my life to put a bet on somebody, or put a bet on somebody to save my life, I should say, I would go with Noah Bowden, and I think it's because he's been out there. He's been hit by college tacklers. He's been he started 4 games at Grambling a couple of years ago. He started the Bayou Classic, and he didn't look great in the Bayou Classic. He threw a pick 6, but he made some nice throws. I think as far as being for the first time in the Southern system, okay, he did all right. He got them through and they won. So that's what quarterbacks are supposed to do: get their team a W and don't look for great stats. But Xavier Tissett sounds like he's going to be a guy. He's probably the guy that's pushing Bowden the most. But this is a guy that he redshirted last year. He worked. He was one of 4 or 5 quarterbacks on the roster last year. He probably didn't get very much attention from the coaches until the spring, and then so he's never been hit. And boy, you were talking about how teams don't hit anymore. They really don't hit the quarterbacks. They don't hit at all. Yeah. So they put the red jersey on them, and it's hands off, and you can be running laps if you hit the quarterback. Mm-hmm. I think Noah Bowden has shown that he can take a hit and that already, and still go back out there and retain his poise. So I think that's who you're going to see on August 31st.
Well, Jim has his prediction. I don't know. I'll throw this out. I was at SWAC Football Media Day, and I happened to hear somebody talking, and it was alluding to Jackson State. So one of our colleagues with Jackson State said, "Yeah, quarterback 1 will start, but don't be surprised if quarterback 2 takes over within a week or 2." So it's kind of in that frame of those first 2 games, how we can see things going. I don't know if that'll be the scenario here at Southern University, but
actually, Carlos, I wouldn't be surprised if Tissett plays a few series in the opener. Mm-hmm. Because if they're not completely sold on Noah Bowden getting them through the season, you want to see Tissett, in live action. You want to at least give him a couple of series, especially if the game doesn't get out of hand or something. You throw him out there and see what he does. It's a good chance that he'll play a little in that game. I don't think there's any doubt he'll play the next week against Savannah State. You've got to get those guys. I mean, especially Jalen Brown will probably get some snaps too. You want to get those guys out there as quickly as you can, when it's not going to hurt you too much. And so I think you'll definitely going to see QB2 and QB3 on the field.
It's going to be interesting. In this whole conference, you have the majority of the quarterbacks going to be getting the start, playing for the first time. You have a few that have some experience. So overall, which offense and which quarterback matures quickly or adjusts, and can we say defenses will be counted on to early come out and do what they need to do to keep the team where they need to be. Anybody agree or disagree with that?
Oh, I totally agree. I mean, we just had our final big scrimmage here, and the defense is miles ahead of the offense. I mean, when I say, Wednesday was a very bad practice for the offense. And Coach Thomas said, hey, offense, this ain't it. You know, mistakes, drop passes, sacks. Of course, they're not hitting the quarterback, but just getting there. I think early on defensively, that's what's going to have to tote the mail for some of these teams, including us. I think Southern as well, until, we got Tyler Macon, who will be the number one. I think coming out of this scrimmage, we'll know who the number two. I have a theory who's the number two is going to be, but we'll find out the next few days. But I think defensively, we're right there. And until our offenses get going, Southern kind of, with their situation and others, Jackson State, and you got Crowley at Grambling and the new system there. I think that defensively teams are going to have to tote the mail until the offense catches up.
I think Alabama State's going to be really hot out of the gate with Andrew Body at quarterback. That guy's got a lot of miles on him, and his body's healed up from he had a surgery, and they've got some weapons around him. So I'm looking for Alabama State to be out of the gate really fast this year.
I think it's also going to be can we say a little pressure with Coach Robinson, Alabama State, known for their defense. Offensively, they've been helter-skelter. Is Body the answer? Can he stay healthy? That's the only thing with terrific talent. But I think it's some pressure on Coach Robinson at Alabama State.
Well, I would say, Carlos, and I know Jim believes that it's going to be Body. Just reading some of the articles coming out of Montgomery and just listening to Coach Robinson and reading his comments, he brought in a quarterback that's expected to see plenty of action. He said he didn't bring in a quarterback, a transfer, to be sitting around. So I'm just wondering look, I'm pulling for Andrew Body personally because of, his mother's on social media, and, you just kind of pull for a kid like that, injured at Texas Southern. He wants to prove that he can be a quarterback at this level. You talk to 10 people, probably 6 people will say they see it, and then you talk to 4 others, they say they don't see it. So, it's I'm just saying that's what people are saying. I mean,
he's talented,
Yeah, he's talented, but you can't. The health is an issue. And just some people just don't see the sizzle there when you talk to some people. He looks good sometimes, most of the time. But
wow.
Yeah, absolutely. Just all you got to do is read some of the social media stuff. So is it Body's job? I said yes initially when he transferred. I'm like, he's the guy. But then Eddie Robinson is stirring the pot, and saying, hey, it could be Body, but I'm looking for a quarterback to come in and be very productive. So we'll see how that goes. I'm pulling for Body, though. I'm pulling for him. A great story, but, it's not guaranteed.
I think Coach Robinson's just kind of pushing the mental edge there. but from the outside looking in.
Well, I'm interested to see how much they let him run. He carries the ball pretty well. He's hard to bring down. It reminds me of some other quarterbacks I've seen. Not as polished a passer, maybe, but I don't know. What are they doing with him? Are they're probably getting him ready to throw enough, and then I'm sure they're gonna use him as a runner, but they don't want to overdo that because that's when you end up getting hurt.
Well, I think, and to your point, I think the quarterback who can manage their team and can make all the critical throws, think pass first, nothing's there, then use your athletic ability. But I guess within the scheme, some teams like the dual threat quarterback. But I want to see the quarterback manage the team, don't hurt him, and be able to make the critical throws. Can he make the out throw on 3rd and 5? Can he stand in there and take, have that pocket's presence and be able to, don't get so nervous when the pressure comes there. But we'll see. That's kind of just my opinion on what quarterback can lead the teams in the conference.
Yeah, I don't think poise is going to be an issue. He's played in a lot of big games already, so he'll be poised, and he'll be probably a good decision maker. With the experience that he has, and I told Eddie Robinson he won the transfer portal lottery. So.
Yeah, and also guys, that's pressure. Pick number 1 out of the East. Alcorn out of the West. I'm kind of glad. I would love not to be in the number 1 spot. So all the pressure is on Alcorn State and Alabama State. Can they handle the pressure?
Charles.
That's the $1 million question. We open up with UAB and Vanderbilt. How we come out of that with Edward Waters. Then we go to Valley and McNeese. And I was reading up on McNeese a little bit. I think they're predicted to win their conference or their division.
No.
Mm-mm.
Nickel State
or finish in the top, whatever.
McNeese is picked 6, but guess what? Because Southern's history with McNeese, I look at him as number 1. Although Nickel State is on that schedule coming down the line. So it'll be a good way to start off the season with a good victory against a McNeese State team that hasn't been in their dominant stage like they have been a few years ago, but still they're going to be fired up. And Southern's going to have to go in there and take that game.
Well, you all got to loosen it up for us because we'll be in Lake Charles in a few weeks after that. So hopefully you can loosen it up for us and we'll set them sideways so we can go ahead and finish them off.
Well, you better text Coach Graves on that one. Jim, any closing comments? And once again, we appreciate the time.
No, I'm just I'm looking forward to talking to Coach Graves tomorrow and finding out. I hope he'll tell me. He doesn't have to tell me who they've decided on. They can wait until Tuesday if they want, I guess. But, we keep asking him. We ask him every time, trying to get him to slip up and tell us. But he's holding off, and I think it's a good strategy for the coach to do that. Mm-hmm. Just they want the competition to stay right up until the last minute, but then they've got to start preparing somebody to start that opener. So. And then they're going to remind, I'm sure they're going to remind whoever doesn't win the job that, look, it's still a competition, but this is just, this could be temporary. So I think they've got some talented guys behind Bodden, but I think that's who it's going to be. You gotta win the game first and develop your talent after that. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
I am as well. Jim, we appreciate the time and
my pleasure.
Enjoy yourself because it's going to be once the season starts. That's it.
Yeah, I know. You're in a routine, and you blink your eyes, and it's November.
Yeah.
Christmas.
I understand that. Well, pleasure as always. We'll talk again real soon.
Thanks for having me. Thank you, guys.
All right. That was Jim Kleinpeter and Ossie. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well. How are you guys this morning? Or this afternoon?
Well, I'm doing fine. I'm just trying to keep Charles from trying to just get secrets all the time. He's always trying to find out some information, and he's good at it.
He's very good at it. The way he poses the question usually makes people feel so comfortable with Charles until they don't even realize that he's trying to get them to tell their governmental secrets to him.
That's true, and I've been knowing him for a long time, and that's why he can't fool me. I'm in his head. But it's that time of year now. For some, less than 2 weeks away. For others, 2 weeks. Ossie, Grambling State University, quietly kept. I'm sure they're working hard. And Mr. Crowley, he comes with some experience at quarterback. And we were kind of talking about the teams that are kind of breaking in new quarterbacks.
Well, when you talk about Grambling State University, you definitely have to talk about Miles Crowley and the job that he did last year. He did an amazing job, well over 2,000 yards for the Grambling Tigers, and actually had them looking very good down the stretch. And even at the end of the Bayou Classic, did an amazing job. I would tell you my sure thoughts at the end of that game, but I don't want to get kicked out of Grambling, nor do I want to get kicked off the air for saying what I would really feel about the end of that game. But Miles Crowley is that guy, and right now he's in the same position that a lot of the other quarterbacks are in. He's got a revamped offensive line. That Grambling lost the entire offensive line last year to the transfer.
Wow.
All of those guys are gone, and now you're bringing in new guys that have to learn each other all over again. Yes, they've had a little time to actually get to know each other, but it's still not enough time. And I think I have to agree with Coach has said already. You will never know how good you are until you strap it on and play against other guys from other teams so that you can actually make the corrections that you need to make. So right now, Grambling is still in that revamp editing process so that they can be a better football team.
Well, that seems to be the theme, right, guys? Defense. Wheeler, you're a former offensive lineman. The defense has to carry the offenses early on throughout the conference. And two, which O-line gels quickly to be able to take that offense to another level. Because, you got the skilled people, but we all know it's up front. That's where the meat is, up front. Offensive line and defensive line. But that seems to be the theme.
Well, it definitely does. And the reason why I say that is because Grambling, again, on the defensive side, actually a revamped defensive line comes in as well. So Coach Jason Rollins has his hands and plate full at this particular point in the season, just trying to bring guys up to speed. Yes, you still have Quentin Talley, who's in the defensive secondary, getting those guys up and ready to play. He's an outstanding player who can help everybody get better in the secondary. But when you talk about football, it is still those guys that are in the trenches who are banging every single play that you have to have up to another level. And like you said, it is the theme of the year, because guess what, guys? It won't get any different for years to come unless they figure out a way to actually manipulate the transfer portal in such a way that it doesn't happen. So you're looking at it where every single year you could be looking at a new team at every institution.
Well, I'm going to tie this in. Coach Pettaway, have you, in your long, lustrous career in basketball, have you ever started a season where you had a lot of turnover, maybe from graduation, whatever, and then you had to kind of start anew, developing players? And how difficult is that?
Well, you're right. But in basketball, that's going to happen a lot. That's why you had those preseason games. You try to make those corrections prior to getting into the conference play. So, yeah, we're used to that in basketball now. You use what you go over in your preseason schedule, pre-conference schedule rather, and you make those adjustments so that you're ready when conference play starts. So I would imagine football's got to be the same way. They take these first couple of games, particularly when it's a non-conference game, you take that, you find out what you did good in it, you find out the bad things, you make those adjustments, and you want to improve in football. I've been told the biggest improvement is from week 1 to week 2. So that I think that's what those coaches are looking for. And right now, nobody really knows what they have because they are playing against each other every day. So when they play another opponent, they'll find out. You have some kind of idea where you are because you know your team, you know your offense, you know your defense, but you really don't get a good gauge on it until you play against some people that wear a different jersey.
And I think you got a better chance, guys, of finding skill players in the transfer portal than you do good linemen. Good linemen are hard to find. Good linemen are developed. They're not just floating from school to school, that sort of thing. And, you know, they're not hitting that transfer portal like good skill players are. You have a better shot of finding a good skill player coming out of the transfer portal. But offensive and defensive linemen, you know, they're not a dime a dozen. That's for sure. The good ones.
Yeah.
You know, the good ones are developed, you know, over time, over years, that sort of thing. And the good ones are more apt to kind of stay in place, you know, stay where they are and, you know, just keep grinding it out, you know, regardless of circumstances, that sort of thing. So, you know, that's just my theory in terms of trying to find the big guys, you know, coming out of the transfer portal. If you're trying to build your lines up through the transfer portal, I don't think you're going to be successful there. You know, you got to get those guys in. You know, you got to develop them. You got to work them, and you know, you got to build it from the ground up.
Ground up. It used to be a time that was the theme. You know, you get them high school, get better year 2, get better year 3, get better year 4, and they've developed. And I've always been intrigued. Well, let me do this. I'll stop right there. We're overdue for a timeout. I still like the JUCO ranks, you know, getting into those ranks. And I've said this, and just kind of my opinion on this. If you can get somebody from the transfer portal, you know, you got to do your homework, see if it's a good fit, 1. And then 2, I always like to get, if you go to transfer portal, look for those redshirt freshmen or sophomores where you'll have them for 2 to 3 years, like the JUCO. And I know you can't always have it that way, but hopefully the day or days will come back where you get a chance to develop those players from the high school ranks through their career. Boy, that was a day. On that note, take a time out. When we come back also, if you guys want to, I know it was a situation where FAMU lost their AD. They got an interim president, interim AD. Wow. What a mess. What a mess. We can talk about that as well. You're watching the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. We shall return.
Live from Atlanta, Georgia, the HBCU football capital hosts the Cricket MEAC SWAC Challenge on August 24th. Defending HBCU national champion Florida A&M Rattlers versus the Norfolk State Spartans. For more information, visit MEACSWACChallenge.com.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cuvée Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cuvée.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him.
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up message quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
This is Ryan Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
Welcome back to this week's edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. You saw me. I was kind of looking in the chat room. Wow. We'll just call this segment Miscellaneous. Oh, yeah. And I just saw that. EA, we want Wheeler Brown. We want Wheeler Brown. You know what? Coach Pettaway, we talk about Wheeler, and we kid him about being a hardliner. Would a hardliner be a good fit at FAMU? I'm not saying one way or the other, but go ahead. Somebody was about to say something.
Well,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead,
By
Will.
the way,
Go ahead, Will.
I think that the bottom line being that whomever the next AD is, number one, he or she's got to know the culture there at FAMU. That's of utmost importance. And you got to find out quickly where the bodies are buried, and the whole 9 yards with that. You got to know who the power people are, and things of that nature. But you also got to have some scruples about yourself, to the point where the new AD coming in has got to, you got to stick by your guns. You bring somebody in there, I'll use my own name. I walk in there with 30 plus years of experience in athletic administration. Those things got to count for something, meaning that, you got to trust that when you hire me or hire somebody, that's been around for a while, that they know the job, they know, the things to do. They know good coaches. They know how to hire good coaches. They know how to work with good staff people, that sort of thing. And, you got to empower them and allow them to do the job that you're hiring them to do. If you're going to be about the business of cutting their legs off, when they come in the door, that sort of thing, I mean, it's not going to work. It's not going to work for anybody of substance. And I will say this, the FAMU position, as well as some other positions that are out there, are not the ideal positions for first-time director of athletics. There are jobs out there, Carlos, that you need people that have sat in that seat before, at institutions such as that, that's been, through the ringer, so to speak, that sort of thing. You got to hire people who are in that mode, not people because their resume looks good. They got PWI experience on their resume. So, a lot of times we always think the white ice is colder for whatever reason. That ain't necessarily the case. And, but those jobs like that are more tailored for people who sat in that seat before. And so, that would be, my take in terms of that particular position. Would I love to go to a FAMU? Yeah, definitely. No doubt about it. Because I think I think it's there in terms of it being one of the top programs in the SWAC all the way around. There's no doubt about that at all. It has that kind of potential. It can be, that kind of institution. But like I said, you got to trust in the person that you bring through the door. You got to believe in that person. You got to allow that person to do the job that you're hiring them for, or her. And if you do that, then you'll reap the benefits. but there's everything there in place in terms of getting it done. But you got to know the culture, no doubt.
Right. And now Willa hit it on the head. And I think the biggest thing is, from the outside, looking in that situation, you got to trust the people that you hire. You got to allow them to do their job. See, like if you brought me in as your basketball coach, don't micromanage my program. If you entrusted me to do the job as your coach, let me coach and run the basketball program like I see fit within the framework of the university and, of course, the rules and that kind of thing. Same thing with the athletic director. If you hire AD, allow the AD to do their job. You gave him a job description. It's obvious that they were a great candidate, or else you wouldn't have hired them. Give them an opportunity to do their job. Now, when they don't do their job, then you remove them. But you cannot handicap an AD. You cannot micromanage an athletic director and expect them to be successful. Because what you've done, you've killed that AD with the alumni. You killed that AD with those coaches on staff. You killed that AD in that community because you have shown that you don't trust that person. And that's not a good situation to be in. Mm-hmm. So whoever they hire, male or female, allow that person to do their job.
And I'd like to add this, Carlos, you're not going to bat 1,000 in this hiring game. You're not going to bat 1,000. Forget about it. You're not going to bat 1,000. Every coach that you hire is not going to turn to gold. It's not going to happen, but, you trust that your AD has done his due diligence in terms of, researching and things of that nature. So you're giving him or her the opportunity to hire the best person that they see fit that's out there, but if you're expecting them to bat 1,000, it's not going to happen. But from an AD's point of view, we have to be able to recognize when we've made a bad hire, and we've got to be given the autonomy to fix that as quickly as we can do that. Mm-hmm. But if you think that everything you touch is going to turn to gold, it's not going to happen. But trust that the athletic director has done their due diligence, that they've done their homework, that they know what they're looking for in terms of meeting the needs of the constituents, of the kids, of the staff people, that sort of thing, and allow them to do that. But we all make mistakes. I mean, sometimes you take a gamble on a coach and it don't work out. That's okay. But that you're not going to get but so many chances to get it right.
Yeah.
But Lord knows I can't go into a job thinking I gotta be 1,000. Each and everything that I do, everything that I touch is going to turn to gold. That's not going to happen. So I mean, people have to trust them and believe in what you're trying to do.
Trust the process. Well, we've heard that before.
Yeah.
And a famous football coach used to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Charles?
Yeah, I think, Carlos, you said it last week. It was a dumpster fire and all that. I look at the AD's position, and I'm not too familiar with administration that much, but as far as the AD, Tiffany Sykes, sometimes when you come into our situations, HBCUs, and you come in sideways, and you don't get the support right off the bat. And from an alumni standpoint, you feel like it was a bad hire and it gets spread on social media and all that. You come in sideways, not fault of your own. Typically, you're fighting uphill from day one. And I think AD Sykes, in my opinion, in some cases, came in a tough situation from day one. Wasn't really supported. I look at the situation with, the players in the North Carolina game a couple of years ago. She cleaned that up, bolstered the compliance office. She was on good footing. Then you look at the Orange Blossom Classic, not participating in that. That was an issue. Whether or not they should go back to that game or not. I don't know the financials as far as playing Miami versus playing a home game, because that's why she backed out of it. Then the hiring of Carrie, and then the hiring of coaches. They need a bowling coach. You need a committee for that. I mean, I'm kind of torn when you have boards like this. And do you blame the AD or do you just blame the bylaws in terms of if this is what's required for you to pass a coach through, even though you're an AD, you still have to get approval of this and that. Is that on you as an AD? You sold your candidate. So I just think it's just a lot going on there. And I'm kind of a supporter of Tiffany Sykes because I knew her a little bit. And I just hate that she was thrown out, because I think she did do some good things. But the process.
I'm sorry, Charles. You know what, Charles? You know, at the end of the day, you know, no AD is going to be able to make a move without the blessing of the president.
Yeah.
You know, and whatever move Sykes made, you know, obviously she had the blessings of the president.
Right.
You know, or she would not have made those moves at all.
Right.
You know, so my thinking is at some point in time, I hate to say it like this, but it is what it is. He abandoned her. He left her out there to dry, you know, and I think at the end of the day, things started to kind of tumble downhill from there. I did not see, at least publicly, where he went to bat for her in terms of the decisions that she made. I never saw a quote from the president at FAMU stating that, yeah, I okayed or gave her my blessings in terms of hiring Sean as the head football coach. Didn't see that anywhere. Even though we all know that, you know, he had to have interviewed with this young man prior to her making the decision that he was going to be the next coach coming in. You know, he had to know that. You know, there was a committee involved also. My thought is, you know, the boy interviewed with the committee. He just didn't interview with the AD, and the AD said, I'm going to hire you. That was not the case at all. You know, now I think, you know, to Ms. Sykes' credit or non-credit, you know, maybe she could have done a better job of selling him to her constituents. You know, the man came, he was experienced, you know, he had, as a staff member, you know, he won a SWAC championship. He won 2 or 3 MEAC championships. You know, he took over his first head coaching job at Fort Valley State, went 8-2 in 2 successive years, competed for championships at Fort Valley. You know, so his resume spoke to the fact that he probably could have been successful at FAMU. But maybe she didn't go the extra mile in terms of helping to sell him to those constituents that were looking at him with a crooked eye. You know, they just saw that, you know, they wanted to go a particular way, that sort of thing. You know, she wanted, you know, I thought she was looking for an experienced coach, somebody that had been through the ringer, somebody that had been a head coach before. You know, if she hires within, which is what she wound up doing, you know, he didn't have any head coaching experience. Granted, he was wanted by the kids, that sort of thing. Experience has always taught me that, you know, you got to be wary. I ain't going to say be wary. Maybe that's not the word. You listen to what the kids want. There's no doubt about that. You know, but you have a set of criteria there from being the athletic director. And, you know, you going by, you know, what you see and what you feel that is needed for the benefit of the entire program. You know, kids come and go. Kids' mindset come and go. You know, they may have loved this guy the first time he gets them up at 5 a.m. to run because they missed curfew or something like that. They don't love him as much anymore. And then the whispers start, with this coach, that sort of thing. So I can understand her rationale for what it was that she was trying to do. And like I said, it probably was enough blame on both sides. I'm sorry I'm taking up all the time, but I just believe that the president of FAMU kind of threw her under the bus at the end of the day and let her go for herself.
Sounds like sometimes you have to fight that word, that energy called politics.
True.
At our schools, and I've seen, even at Southern University, you have committees, and coach is picked, the AD is picked. Those on the committee, perhaps a few didn't like that choice, so hey, they're not gonna support. And as soon as something goes wrong, hey, they're starting the whispers. And so, back to the original thing, a hardliner, that's the term we use, somebody like that, maybe just what FAMU needs. But there is going to be politics involved. I think you can go to every school.
Mm-hmm.
And, and I used to think, well, it just only happens in Baton Rouge. But across town, it's politics as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a person that's able to get through all of that, put a good team around them,
mm-hmm.
and then do what you're asked to do, to get paid to do it. And then Charles let them do what they have to do and do their job. Now, and then give you the floor. You've heard me talk about coaches, and I want a good staff around me if I'm a head coach. Of course, I'm not. Same thing applies with the director of athletics. You have to have a good team around you, and also you have to have I'll call them the people of influence on the academic side. They've got to buy into what you're trying to do, because athletics and academics go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
They need each other. And then I was reminded by God rest his soul, Greg Rochelle. Most people in Baton Rouge will know what I'm talking about. He said that the AD and the coaches are more popular and well known than the presidents and the chancellors on campus. And so there's always that kind of conflict. Maybe I shouldn't use the word conflict. Well, maybe I should.
It's jealousy.
But you get my there you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's jealousy.
And so, with that being said, I think you do need a hard line. And I'm from the outside looking in for FAMU situation. And Charles Alcorn, when are they gonna? Any day now?
That's a good question.
I come up with a good question every now and then.
Yeah, I was. A source told me something may come down this week, but this source told me that they're not so confident that that's going to be the case.
Oh no.
Yeah. So that's all I can give you on that. And we talk about turnover. I think was out there how many presidents and ADs they've had over a decade and all that. And I've been at Alcorn 33 years. We've had 13 presidents in 33 years.
Wow.
I was talking with an alum the other day. I counted the number of athletic directors we've had in 33 years. It's been over 10. But the one thing that we've been able to do is our interims have been administrators from the university in which they understand the processes, and they weren't quick to blow things up. Because I'm hopeful this doesn't happen, because I'm an advocate of HBCUs, and I know these processes are difficult. I work at one. The processes are difficult. They're tedious. They're hard to break down. They're hard to rebuild. I've read the phrase for Florida A&M from alums: "It's time to blow it up and start over." To me, that's easier said than done, because you're going to need, first of all, you're going to need people to do that. And I think, the president came back and said, no, we're not getting rid of all administrators. I'm going to keep a couple. He said that, and which I think was smart. You got to have people on the inside that already kind of know this process, but where do you start in terms of trying to remake it? You just can't tear down the whole thing with nothing and then rebuild. You talked about balance. You got to have a system in place. You got to break parts of it down. Because I don't know a lot about Florida A&M, their processes, but not all of it is bad. It just looks bad from the outside looking in, but there's some good things there. So
great things.
Yeah, there's some great things there. We just not on the inside looking in to see that. So the question is, do you tear that down? And do you tear it down? And this happens at our schools a lot. Just because Charles Edmond is in charge, Charles Edmond says we're going to break it down whether it works or not. I'm in charge. I'm going to break it down because I say we're going to break it down. Instead of looking at it and saying, it works. We might tinker a little bit, but we're going to keep a good thing going. And that's where I'm afraid with this whole thing. You got a new president. He may be the permanent president. If he does some good things and the board approves, he might be the permanent guy. Or, you got an athletic director, you're going to have to find one. And, that's going to be, and I do believe that there's going to be tons of resumes for that AD's post, Wheeler Brown.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Despite all the talk, there's going to be 100 resumes.
Oh, no doubt about it, Charles.
No doubt about it. It's just like the basketball coach. If Kerry doesn't make it after 1 year, there's going to be 100 resumes for that job. Florida A&M is a good job.
Yes, it is.
The Lawson Center is terrific. I've been there a few times, and I'm impressed. So I think that I think for Florida A&M, they have to be careful, especially now with fall semester getting ready to get underway. You're going to probably have record enrollment. You want to, that's a good positive thing to build on, that the Florida A&M is a good product, but you don't want to have dysfunction within administration, because that will cause students and parents angst, and students and parents might leave and impacts enrollment. So that's my only thing, regardless of what happens, I hope whatever processes they come up with, if they change some things, if they tweak some things, it better work. Because if you lose enrollment, you lose revenue, and the higher ups in higher education are ready to pounce on something like that. You got to cut salary. You're going to hear the word cut the fat. We got too much fat in Tallahassee. We're oversaturated with employees. We need to cut this. We need to move this. We need to cut that. That, sound like a politician. We talk about politics. You hear governors say, we're going to cut the fat in government. Something like that is going to happen. I mean, they're going to talk about it, whether or not they can do it or not. But it's just, you have these different signs out there. And sometimes you necessarily don't need all of that, because there are some good things that are working there. And it's just a matter of settling down and figuring those things out.
Well, FAMU is a treasure. They happen to be in the state where the governor is loco. Okay, but we all can see that, because I can't talk about Florida's governor, and in the state I'm in, we've got a nut job that just took over. I'm sorry. Texas, same thing. What's the connection? Deep South. Now, Coach Pettaway, Alabama, I think it's a female, correct, young lady?
Yeah. Meemaw, she's doing her thing. So
yeah. Well,
politics is politics everywhere.
Well, Wheeler, you're in Maryland. Good governor.
Got a good, nice young brother. That's the governor. And
that's why it's important to vote.
He's doing a good job.
Right. But that's why it's important to vote and vote down the ballot. It is important. It's important. Now, am I going to apologize saying he's loco? No, I'm not. No, because it's some of the things that you see that's going on there and other states. It's shameful. It really is.
But I think FAMU has stepped up in terms of the academic side of things. From an athletic point of view, they really invested in compliance and things of that nature, and that's been a real plus. And like I said, it's just a matter of, you got to know who the players are. You got to know who the players are. And sometimes, Carlos, from an athletic director's point of view, you got to float things out there just to see how people feel about it. And when it comes to like certain hires, if there's somebody that you feel that could really do a good job in your particular program or in your particular school, from an athletic director's point of view, you got to kind of unofficially float that out there, and see how people feel about it, but also campaign for your guy. If you feel that strongly about them and what they bring to the table, you got to put that out there strongly, and why, the reasons why. My goal is to find somebody that has sat in this seat before, that has been successful, as a head coach, and this is a better position because I have experienced kids for somebody that is experienced themselves, that's been through the ringer before, that can handle this kind of situation. You got to pump your people up. You got to pump your candidate up, and sooner or later, folk may not come over to your side, but at least they will see where you're coming from, and they will better understand why you're going in the direction that you're trying to go. But we just finished talking about the NAIA situation, that sort of thing, and that basketball coach, he's coming from the NAIA situation. He probably has some good teams there, has coached some good players. He wasn't getting the respect from the FAMU faithful because he was an NAIA guy. They were talking about his resume, that sort of thing and stuff. So, but you can't slap him down because his experience is coming from the NAIA, and we all know because we've been in the game, we know the kind of caliber of players that he's used to coaching, that sort of thing and stuff. You can't slam him down and say the man can't coach, or I can only give you a 1-year deal until you prove it to me. Simply because his experience is from an NAIA school. So, to me, it's those kind of things that people need to back up a little bit and kind of, I guess what the young folks say, take a chill pill or what have you, and really, really kind of do some research and know what it is that they're talking about before they just say, well, he was only making $50,000 where he was coming from, and now we're gonna pay him $150. It doesn't mean he didn't deserve $150 where he was at. It was just, the budget constraints that maybe they were under, that sort of thing. So there's various reasons with that.
Right.
Don't slam a man for, wanting to do better for his family and things of that nature simply because he didn't get that much money in the past. You don't know the sacrifices that, he made for his family, that sort of thing, while trying to get to the level of a FAMU. And now he finally gets there, and they throw mud in his face. So,
well, Will, I got a crazy question for you in terms, because you know more about the administration, the connection between ADs and presidents, and we know some of our schools have boards. And I've been thinking about this because boards have been in our news lately. Texas Southern's board, FAMU's board, they all been. Is it crazy for me to think, okay, if I have to get approval from my board, however many board members it is, 7, 10, 11, whatever it is, that behind the scenes, you have a candidate for a coach and you have to get board approval. Is it crazy for me going through my president, or president can sell that coach to each individual board member individually? So once you get to the board meeting, there's kind of a consensus. There's not this stuff plays out, in a negative sense in the public, because these meetings are public. Is that possible, or is that unrealistic, or is that naive on my part to think that something like that is even possible?
No, it is possible, Charles. But you got to have the blessing of your president. Because if the president get wind of you going, I ain't gonna say behind his back or what have you, but you haven't got his blessing to speak with board members, that sort of thing, then there's going to be some distrust there between you and your president. But bottom line being, yeah, you want to get the blessing of your president. Look, Dr. So-and-so, is it okay if I talk with, some of the board members about the direction that we're trying to go in, that sort of thing. Maybe we can meet a little bit more often, things of that nature. But a lot of times these board folk, what they meet maybe 2 or 3 times a year, and then at those meetings, they want to solve the world's issues, at that particular time without really knowing the nuts and bolts behind, what it is that's being put in front of them, that sort of thing. So, and with the blessing of the president, of course, you want to approach that, but like I said, you got to approach it carefully, depending on your relationship with your president. Because like we said, some of these guys got thin skin, and they're very, I don't know, kind of mistrustful in and of themselves. And they might think you trying to go behind their back to get this done or get that done, that sort of thing. So I would always go through the president, prior to approaching the board members, but you definitely want to make them abreast. Sending them information, that sort of thing. This is who I like. This is why. This is what he or she brings to the table. This is what I think they can do for our institution, that sort of thing. We as athletic directors got to try to do the best job we can, the best sell job we can to our boards. But like I said, we got to have the blessings of the president in order to do so. And the president's got to be one of the biggest cheerleaders also, Charles. At the end of the day, once I take that to the president, this is who I want, this is who I like, and I'm giving them documentation and all that sort of thing and stuff. Part of his or her job should be taking it to the board members also.
Yeah.
So they're not just hearing it from me, they're hearing it from the head man in charge also. Charles Edmond really likes, so-and-so as our next head coach. This is why he's got tons of experience, and his team GPA has been X, Y, and Z where he's been, and his kids graduate, and he's had so many All-Americans and all that sort of thing. They need to hear that information, not just from me, the athletic director, but they need to hear from the president also. And then maybe they feeling a little better about the decision that they want to make.
Well, yeah, I guess I left out that point. Like me as the AD and my president together meet with board members individually, whether by Zoom or whatever, to kind of get the temperature from them. And if the temperature isn't right, then you go on another, you go another way. But if you can convince them prior to, once you get to the board meetings in a week or 2 weeks, whatever the case.
It's a done deal.
I don't know if that's even allowable. I mean, I don't know, state to state, board to board. I don't know. But it's something I've been thinking about, where you don't want to have the mess play out in public and then it just explodes and blows up even more than what it is. That's just something I've thought about with our HBCU boards being, put on display here lately.
Well, I would caution though, not every HBCU board are the same.
Yeah.
Two, I would ask you to, like Southern University, their boards are public. You can watch it on YouTube. Listen in, watch some of the board meetings, and then form your opinion of how they work. Because I've had in the past, and I've had some shows where it got brutal. Board members say they don't get involved in day-to-day operations.
A lie.
Watch the lightning.
Yep.
Watch the lightning. And so, and then too, in the state of Louisiana, the board members are recommended to be able to get on the board by a legislature. Saying Shreveport, that's one district. Monroe, that's another district. So you got to take all those factors play into it at all. And we know director of athletics have a tough job. I joke about it sometimes, but it is tough. And that's Coach Pettaway. It's signing up for it. It's like you sign up for it, these things, X, Y, and Z could happen. So you got to kind of have thick skin. Go ahead, Coach Pettaway.
Right. Well, Carlos, the biggest thing to me is stability. You got to have stability at in that president's office. See, like in my 29 years at Alabama A&M, went through 7 permanent presidents. 7. The 7th one is the one that I retired upon. So we had pretty solid leadership year after year after year. Now, did we have the same athletic director? No. But the one constant was that the president was the same, or you had good leadership, great leadership in the president's office, and you got to have that in order to have a good athletic program, man. You got to have stability.
Yeah.
You got to have it, man.
You do.
Yes.
You do. Because I even take myself as an example. All of my job changes when I was a director of athletics came through the hiring of a new president.
Right.
So I mean, new presidents come in, they want, their own people, that sort of thing. Don't really matter what you have done and the direction that you're going in, that sort of thing. They're gonna make a change.
Right. Winner Wheeler, prime example. Wheeler. When I was at Alabama A&M, they hired me. I was the basketball coach. Then they hired me as the athletic director. Right. Mm-hmm. So everything's rolling good. 3.5 years. Now we get a new president. Guess what? The first thing the president said, he doesn't believe a coach of a major sport should be an athletic director. Mm-hmm. So he told me his first week on campus that he was going to make a change for the AD job. Now that was just his personal. That's just the way he felt. Mm-hmm. That a coach from a major sport should not be the athletic director. Had nothing to do with my job performance. We had great times when I was the athletic director. But his decision to split up the positions is the reason why I was no longer the athletic director.
Well,
did he give you the option of choosing between the two?
Oh, what? No, because he had somebody in mind he wanted for his AD.
See, and that's what it was at the end of the day. That's what it was.
And he didn't last a year.
If he didn't,
his man did not last a year.
Yeah, he could have voiced his opinion. And said, "Look, Coach Pettaway, I'm gonna give you the option. Either you become the full-time director of athletics, or you can continue to be the basketball coach."
Yep.
Yeah. Well, even if I thought about getting a master's in sports administration, but somehow, that probably wouldn't be good. I don't know if I could last. I don't have the temperament, because I know you got to kiss the babies, you got to do a lot of politicking, you got to take some stuff. You can't be opinionated, outspoken too much, and that's how I am. So I know I couldn't get it done. That just I continue to pray for the director of athletics, the boards, the presidents, because once again we got less than 5 minutes. We got to make sure. Here's that speech again, that our HBCUs are thriving, because we got a whole lot of outside forces that are at work. We don't have to help them.
Right. Correct.
So, but I tell you, Carlos, the standing motto of every AD is you take the blame and share the fame.
Yep.
So everything that goes wrong is your fault. You own up to it and take it. Everything that goes right, you make sure that you spread it around to everybody that you can. If it wasn't for the president, if it wasn't for Charles, if it wasn't for the president, it wasn't for Charles Edmond, if it wasn't for Vann Pettaway, if it wasn't for Carlos Brown, we would not have been successful in this endeavor or in that endeavor. You got to spread the fame.
That's true.
Take the blame.
Well, I'll tell you what, being a politician, a pastor, podcast host, you can't have your feelings on your shoulders. You can't. You have to have a tough mentality. And we all have a path that is chosen for us. AD would not be mine. But if I can help him at any cost, I'll do that. And by the way, a lot of the ADs in our conference are former basketball players.
Right.
Is there a theory to that?
Yes, we can think fast. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think women have done a good job for the most part when they were in director of athletics. Is it that some people don't like that? I hope that's not the case.
Right.
I hope that's not the case. Well, we got to wrap it up here. It's been an interesting show. We'll have updates with Southern University Scrimmage. Thanks to see what happens when you build relationships. I didn't have to ask; it came to me. So I'll get a full review from the source.
Yeah.
Next week, Coach Graves will join us. Also, I'm just going to tell you now, I had a nice talk. I was able to wrap it up. No, not that one, Charles. Not Tony Clayton on the board of directors at Southern University, especially after this show. He probably won't come on. But from the athletic standpoint, Eric Randall.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, he's a principal in the school district here in Baton Rouge and former Southern University quarterback who knows a thing or two about football and being in a quarterback race. He'll join us next week as well. And I've sent an invitation to Coach Banks. Coach Banks, don't let me down. Remember, I know you're in this city. On that note, I want to thank Melanie, all of the guests, and everybody in the chat room. Let the conversation continue. And okay, Pat, I'm going to text you, Pat Riley. Coach Pettaway drives a hard bargain. The Miami Heat have to do something this year. It's no good to win the Summer League championship. We want that NBA title. Everyone have a blessed Saturday. Next Saturday at 11 a.m. for another edition of the Carlos Brown Show right here on the Black College Sports Network. Peace and God bless.